What's going on, YouTube family? Welcome back to rebirthedu.com. I'm your host, Kendrick, aka Also the Great. We are back with the final installment of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow Quadrant. And we're not going to hesitate at all. We're going to get right into it, right? So this final set of chapters, it's really like 7 or 8 chapters. We're just going to consolidate that into one big chunk and give you all the game that he's given all of us, right? So this is called the 7 steps to finding your financial fast track, right? These got some action steps on what you need to do to get where you need to go, right? So, and that's what we're here for, right? So take note, watch this again, watch this a few times. Hit me up if you want to chat about it. Of course, the link is in the description below. You have direct access to me. It doesn't cost you anything. We can learn together and we can talk about what this person is teaching you. I'm not teaching you this. I'm just giving you the game on what he's giving to us. He's definitely one of the biggest mentors I've ever had in my life. So first things first, right? Step 1 is time to mind your own business. I know we've talked about this before, but this is crucial, right? Because you've been conditioned to mind someone else's business pretty much your whole life, okay? School has made you a fine employee because that is what they teach you to do. They don't teach you financial literacy. They don't teach you how to start a business. Even if you go to business school, essentially you learn how to be a bean counter. You're not necessarily learning how to operate a business on your own. Excuse me, but it's not necessarily about operating a business. It's about minding your own business. You've been making millions of dollars for other people your whole life. It's time for you to do that for yourself. It's time to take control of your own finances and mind your business. We talked about this, right? And Robert is not backing down, okay? So here's the action steps that you take to do this. Very first thing is you need to fill out a financial statement. If you don't know what a financial statement is, hit me up. I'll explain the whole thing to you. We'll play a few games. You'll understand it in a matter of minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes. You'll understand it or the concept of it completely. And then we'll put it into action to really show you how it works so you can really see where your cash is flowing. Okay, so you're going to fill out that financial statement mostly because you need to see where you are. It's really hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you're at and you don't correct the mistakes that you've been making. Okay, so after that, you need to set financial goals, right? Goals as far as what your debt looks like, what your income is going to look like, what your cash flow is going to look like. You need to have those goals in mind. And you need to have this written down. It's, again, very important that you write this stuff down. Don't just allow your brain to just flutter and just move everywhere. If you don't write it down, it's not going to be concrete. And that's what you need to do is put it in ink. Okay. Then you're going to do another financial statement, but this one is going to be 5 years ahead. Okay. What is it going to look like 5 years from now? If you stick to your goals and your plan to carry out those goals, what does your financial statement look like 5 years from now? What does the debt look like? It should be none. What is the, or at least none of the bad stuff, right? We'll talk about good debt later. Income, what does that look like? Where is it coming from? What quadrant is that income coming from? The cash flow, what does that look like? How much is coming in? How much is going out? Okay. These are all important things. You want to do that 5-year financial statement. Okay. Step 2, take control of your cash flow. Okay. I'll tell you this, man. And Robert says this as well. Money does not solve your problems if your cash flow management is your problem. If you don't know how you're spending your money and you spend it frivolously and you're not intentional with what you're doing with your money, more money is not going to solve that problem. you'll just end up getting more expenses, and you'll start living with higher means. Okay. And you're not going to stay within your means. I'm not telling you to, live like some kind of weird hermit that's homeless in a tent because you don't want any expenses at all. Okay. I'm not telling you to do that. What I'm telling you is to understand your money, your situation, and your cash flow, and how it's affecting your life. Okay. You have to get this under control. This is the very next step that he's talking about. Okay. You got to take control of your cash flow. There's always two sets of books. Okay. Like, for instance, some people will tell you that your house can be an asset, and it is an asset, but it's probably an asset for the bank. And then there's probably a liability for you. That's pretty much how it goes. Remember, how do I sound? Remember, the difference between an asset and a liability is an asset is putting money into your pocket. Liability is taking money out of your pocket. Okay. That's why there's always two sets of books. Okay. Your house is an asset in one book, and it's a liability in another one. Don't ever get that twisted. Okay. Trick is deciding which boogie you want to be yours. That's a good one, right? And you also need to understand the difference between good debt and bad debt. In a nutshell, bad debt is the debt that you get that you pay for. Good debt is the debt that you get that somebody else pays for. For instance, if you take on the debt of a house, but you're renting that out, you're not paying that debt off. The tenant is paying that debt off. Therefore, it is good debt, and it's a positive in your asset column. Makes sense, right? It's putting money in your pocket. They're paying for that debt. That means it's a good debt. And in that regard, you want to get as much debt as you possibly can. But that's another story that Robert teaches. Okay. Income and expenses. You got to understand that and how that works. That's pretty self-explanatory. And you want to make sure you get rid of bad debt. Okay. And only build your asset column. That's what you want to do. Okay. You have to make a plan. It has to be written down, and you just got to follow that plan. Plain and simple. All right. So, number 3, you need to know the difference between risk and risky. Okay. That comes along with knowing the difference between assets and liabilities. But in order for you to understand the difference between risk and risky, you really need to start doing some studying, and you really need to kind of examine yourself and really feel what you feel is risky to you. Right. So, for instance, some people think that it's risky to get rid of their job and get rid of that steady paycheck. Some people think that's a risky thing to do. Some people don't see that as a risk because they're trying to move in certain quadrants. Okay. So it really just kind of all depends on what you think is risky, but then educating yourself so that you can better assess risk. And the way to do that is you want to commit 5 hours a week, starting off 5 hours a week, reading. Okay. Reading is fundamental. Right? Watching financial news, playing a cash flow game. Hit me up. I always love playing it. I play it all the time. It's one of my favorite things to play. I would love playing it with you. And just learning, staying in this kind of sphere of financial sphere of learning about money to the best of your ability. Spend 5 hours a week. And that's no time, guys. If you are intentional with your schedule, you can do a hot, 30 minutes to an hour a day, just getting in some knowledge. Okay. And then applying that to whatever you got going on in your life. Okay. So number 4, you need to decide what kind of investor you want to be. And I'm going to ask you to refer back to chapter 5. I explained in depth what kind of investors there are, but Robert gives us a couple of little subcategories in this particular chapter. Okay, you have different types of investors as far as the kind that seek problems. That's an A. B seeks answers, and C seeks experts. Okay. And you can fall in a myriad of these. You can fall in one or all of them. If you're a real estate investor and you're looking for some off the market type of deals, you're looking for problems. Okay. You're looking for other people's problems that you can solve and in return get the dividends from that. Okay. If you're the type of person that's seeking answers, you're trying to maybe learn about the stock market or learn about something, and you're going to be interviewing financial experts. If you're in the real estate, you're going to be essentially asking a bunch of questions to people who are experts and getting those answers and applying them to your investment strategy. Okay. And then the C type is they seek experts. So they're essentially looking to hire somebody saying, hey, look, I don't have time for this. My brain ain't working right today. I want to give you some money and I want you to do what's best with this money and I'll reap the dividends of it. Okay. And at any time you can fall in any one of or multiple of these categories. Okay. So number 5, step number 5. And then also, before we move on to that, remember to take baby steps, guys. We talked about that in a previous chapter. Just take baby steps, a little bit at a time. Okay. Got to crawl before you walk, walk before you run. You cannot crawl into flying. Okay. So just take your time, baby steps, but as long as you're moving forward, you're going to be just fine. Remember, we are looking at this with long-term thinking. We are not looking at this for short-term gain. Now, those are certain types of investments. Hey, and if you want to do that and you want to gamble, by all means, it's your money. You do what you want to do. It's your money. It's your time. I'm just giving you some of the knowledge that Robert has passed on to us in these books. Okay. Number 5, he suggests that you seek a mentor or mentors, actually, because you may want to do different things. You may want to dabble in a multi-level marketing business so you can actually learn how network marketing works, and you'll have a mentor in that. And you may have a mentor in real estate. You may have a mentor in your mental health that teaches you how to meditate. I don't know what you're into, but if you want to level up and get to the next step, you should definitely seek a mentor and find somebody that's already done it and that is willing to pass the game on to you. Okay. And sometimes that may cost you a little bit of money, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't mind paying for a class that's going to end up making me tons more money, or I don't mind. Again, money is a resource, so I'll use that resource to better my life. If that means I got to pay for somebody to teach me, I don't see the difference in that and then paying for college. Same concept. So if you paid your money to go to college, why not pay somebody to teach you something that'll help better your life in a more specific way? Okay. And also look out for what Robert calls reverse role models. These are people you can learn the wrong thing to do. Okay. People who maybe have been successful in something and then squandered it all away. You can learn something from that. In reality, you can learn from everyone. Okay. And in every situation, you can learn what to do and what not to do. And you just take that information in, you process it for yourself, you apply it where it needs to be applied, and you don't where it doesn't. You know what I'm saying? You eat the meat, spit out the bones. All right. So on to the next one. Number 6, make disappointment your strength. What's that mean? That means you are going to fail, but that's not a bad thing. You're going to make mistakes, and that's not a bad thing. The trick is you need to learn how to turn your disappointment and your errors into an asset for you. that, because this is how you're going to gain wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be forged in fire. You're going to make some mistakes and you're going to learn what not to do along the way. And this is only going to help you build character. And it's also going to help you get over whatever fears you may have in regards to taking the next step in your life. Okay. And this is all what Robert teaches in the book. This is a great book, guys. If you haven't picked up this book, I really recommend you pick it up. Read this 2-3 times a year. It'll be worth it for you. Every time I read it, I pick up something new and I remind myself of the things that I need to get on top of and keep moving forward. Okay. And step number 7, the power of faith. Okay. You get to choose what you believe in. Okay. If you think you can do something, you're right. If you think you can't do something, then you're still right. Okay. Whether you can or whether you can't, whatever you think, you're correct. Okay. If you feel like, oh man, well, I'm not smart enough to do this, and I don't really have the energy to do this, or I don't have the time to do this because I got to go to work, and man, I'm stressed out when I get home, and then my family's going to look at me. What's everybody going to think about me if they see me out here doing this? They see me out, what are they going to think about me? Oh, this ain't cool. Look, if that's your mentality, you are absolutely correct. You can't do this. And until you believe that you can, you will not be able to. It is up to you to make a decision and have faith and believe that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. Okay? Look at the Wright Brothers, man. They thought them guys was crazy. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna never fly. Humans ain't meant to fly. Everybody was in their ear telling them, hey man, you can't do this. But they believed that they could. And mistake after mistake after mistake. And then they got their first flight. I think it lasted like 7 or 11 seconds. And you still had people crapping all over them and saying, man, you only flew for 11 seconds, man. And in their mind, it was like, yo, we flew for 11 seconds. We was in the air 11 seconds. What did we learn from this? And what can we do to where we can stay in the air for double that time? What can we do to stay in the air for triple, quadruple, boom, 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 and it just got better and better and better. And now you're flying across the country and all over the globe right now because of something that they worked on, they were diligent about, and that they believed in. You can't even imagine what life would be like right now if there wasn't airplanes flying us around everywhere. You can't even really fathom that. Unless you just that old and y'all just had to walk everywhere, like Moses and all them, If you're that old, God bless you. I appreciate you tuning in. I know this is mind-boggling to you. But regardless, you have to believe that you can achieve. Man, that sounds so corny and lame, but it's the truth. You got to believe it in yourself. Your past doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your circumstances were. Doesn't matter what your upbringing was. Doesn't matter where you came from. Doesn't matter your color, your creed, your whatever, your religion. None of that stuff matters. It's all about the results that you get. And you just have to believe that you can do it. If you're in the U.S., you're in the land of milk and honey. And you can't afford to be lactose intolerant. You need to get all this milk you can get. Throw diabetes out the window, get this honey too. It's out here. There's enough for everybody. Please do not live in that mindset of scarcity and lack. There is an abundance here. There's enough for everybody to have a financially sound life with the resources that you need to get where you got to go. Okay? So what do you tell yourself in the mirror? When you look in the mirror, what do you say to yourself? Do you look in your mirror and say, man, I look terrible today? Even though everybody else might be giving you compliments and telling you how pretty you are or how handsome you are, but you look in the mirror and say, I look terrible. Are you that type of person? Or are you the type of person that looks in the mirror and says, man, I'm looking good today? I know I'm that dude, right? Whether I'm chunky or not, I always think to myself, hey, man, I look good today. I look at my beard. I'm like, oh, my beard game is on point. Matter of fact, let me look at myself for just a second. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm a handsome dude, you know? At least that's what I tell myself. And a lot of times people believe that too. And I appreciate that. If you think I'm a handsome guy, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate that. Feeling tropical today at work. I put on my little old, tropical pineapple shirt. I was feeling all fresh and free today. I had a good time today at work. But regardless, so those are the 7 steps. Those are the 7 things the action steps that you got to do in order to get on the right track. And that pretty much concludes this book. Okay. So we're going to move on to the next book after this. Not exactly sure which one that'll be, but you'll find out on Thursday, because I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Okay. Hit the notification bell. Hit like if you like the content. Hit like if you rock with me. If you don't, hit the thumbs down. Just participate. Leave a comment below and chop it up with me, man. I am accessible. Hit me up, man. Let's chop it up and let's grow together, right? Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little bell, all that jazz for the YouTube algorithm if you rock with me. And we're going to see y'all on the next one.